Today's lesson is Lesson 16, Legume Farms. If you've ever enjoyed the snap of a fresh pea or bean from the garden or savored a bowl of spicy chili, you have discovered at least one of the amazing legumes that the world has to offer. There are so many different types, and they provide food for both people and animal. These remarkable plants are part of the pea family, but their variety doesn't stop there. Beans, lentils, tamarind fruit, soybeans, chickpeas, and even peanuts belong to this family of plants. Legumes grow in pods and are mostly cultivated for their protein-packed seeds. When they are grown primarily for the dried form of the seed, they are called pulses. When legumes are ready to be harvested, the pods become papery and thin or woody and hard, and many of them spontaneously split open if left for long enough. Some exceptions to this rule are fresh peas, beans, and edamame, which are green soybeans. Snap or snow peas and fresh beans are eaten with the juicy pod intact. However, fresh shelling peas and edamame are harvested while the pods are still crisp and juicy, but their outer castings are not eaten. These peas and beans must be manually shelled to access the delicious seeds inside. Peas and beans are often thought of as vegetables rather than legumes. They are familiar to most backyard gardeners and can be found in the produce section of the grocery store. Edamame is often found in the frozen food section, and the beans must be cooked before they are eaten. Legumes are nitrogen fixers. When most plants grow, they use the nitrogen from the soil to help them grow. Legumes, on the other hand, capture nitrogen in the air and hold it in their root nodules, so it can be used by the plant. Many farmers plant legumes in the field until under before they grow fruit, so the nitrogen decomposes naturally back into the soil. This gives the field a year of rest and renews the balance of the nutrients in the soil for the next year's crop. The idea of resting the land is not a new one. God told his people, the Israelites, to rest their lands every 7 years to replenish it. Today we see the science behind God's instructions and how he had a master plan for the land. Growing legumes. Beans are perhaps the most widely grown legumes in the world. There are many different varieties, and most of them are grown for their mature dried seeds that can be cooked in an assortment of tasty dishes. Beans grown on a commercial scale are harvested when they are fully ripe with dry seeds inside. While beans can grow in different regions around the world, some are specific to certain locations. This is either because they do not grow well elsewhere or because the bean is important to the regional cuisine. Garbanzo beans, also called chickpeas, are popular in the Mediterranean Middle East. They grow on plants that produce a small pod with only 1 or 2 seeds in each pod. Lima beans cannot be grown in cold climates because they require a long growing season and warm weather to mature. In tropical countries, the lima bean is grown as a perennial rather than an annual like most beans. Broad beans are at the other end of the climate spectrum. They do not tolerate heat well and prefer to be grown in cool areas of the world. They are grown primarily in Europe, either during the winter in warmer areas or during the summer in cooler climates. Broad beans can even survive some freezing temperatures. Beans, lentils, and split peas are all grown similarly. Many varieties of these plants are vine-like and tend to wrap around each other. This creates more of a mat of a plant than neat rows like grain fields. Others grow on a small bushy plant. Some even require supports for the beans to grow on, and without support won't produce as much fruit. Once the plants are growing, most legumes are hardy, needing little fertilizer or assistance. They are largely left alone to grow until they are ready for harvest, free to fix nitrogen and soak up the sun's ray. equipment. Farms that harvest legumes for their dried seed use large machinery similar to that used in grain farming. Just like grains, they are harvested when they are fully mature and the plant is beginning to die. On some plants, the leaves turn yellow and fall to the ground, leaving only dry pods and stems for the harvesters. The dry legume plants are cut and picked up using combines and then transferred to grain bins to be taken to the elevator and the processing plants. A day in the life of a legume farmer. Meet Kevin. His farmer has been farming in the vast, flat prairies for generations. What started as a small homestead has ballooned into a large family business, requiring all hands on at the harvest time. Kevin's family likes to rotate the crops in their fields, so each year different fields grow different grains or legumes. Today he is headed to his pea field to begin harvesting. Harvest is an exciting time for the farming community, but it can be stressful too. Kevin will work from before the sun comes up until long after the sun dips behind the horizon. On the Canadian prairies, this means that Kevin will work from about 6 in the morning until at least 9 at night. He and many of his extended family members will eat their meals in the field until harvest is finished. After testing his field to make sure the moisture content isn't too high, Kevin sets off on his combine. In just a little while, he'll be ready to fill his first grain bin with dried peas to take to the storage bins until they are ready to be shipped. When mid-morning comes around, Kevin's wife brings food and drinks for a coffee break to the field for the workers, along with an eager apprentice combine driver, their son Aaron. Young farm kids wait all year to have a turn riding in the combine with their parents, and Aaron is no exception. He looks forward to the quality time with his dad each year, sitting in the cab of the combine. Farming really is a family business, and Kevin loves that he is able to pass down his love for the land to his children. Storage and processing. Soybeans can be harvested as fresh beans and sold as edamame, or they can be grown until they are fully mature and processed into a variety of forms. Dried soybeans are often ground and turned into soy meal for animal feed, which is then mixed in commercial feed mixes sold to farms. Soy milk is made from soaking the dried beans. Once they are soaked, the skins are removed and the water discarded. More water is added, and the beans are blended and then strained. Lastly, soy milk is heated to kill the enzymes in the milk that aren't good for you. Tofu, one of the most frequently used meat alternatives, is easily made from soy milk. The process is similar to making cheese. The milk is heated and curdled agent is added. Gypsum, also known as calcium sulfate, and lemon juice are commonly used to help curdle the milk. After one of these is added, the milk curdles pretty quickly. Once the tofu begins to form in the milk, it is scooped out into a nut milk bag or cheesecloth and pressed into a square. The longer the tofu is pressed, the more firm it becomes. Tofu dries out quickly, so it can be stored in water. Legumes such as split peas, lentils, and many varieties of beans are processed, packaged, and sold in their dry form. Once the legumes reach the processing plant, they are sorted. Any beans that are not good are extracted, and any leftover parts of plants, dirt, or rocks that may have been found their way into the bins are removed. Once the process is finished, they are bagged and shipped to stores and suppliers around the world. Beans are processed into a variety of products, being sent to stores for sale. Canned beans are pre-cooked and then preserved, ready to be used without any fuss. A lot of beans are canned in their whole form, but you can also find refried beans that are more of a paste in a can in the Mexican food section of the grocery store. Bean flours are another way that dry beans are processed. Many people use bean flour as a substitute in baking to avoid gluten or to add some protein to their baked goods. To the table. Legumes are a common ingredient in a vegetarian diet because they are full of protein. People who don't eat meat may substitute them in their diet to ensure they're getting enough protein. Soybeans are used to make tofu and other meat alternatives that can be purchased in a grocery store. Soybeans can have over 15 grams of protein in 1/2 cup serving. Beef, on the other hand, has about 22 grams of protein in a single serving. While soybeans are the most well-known source of vegetarian protein, other legumes also have high protein content. Lentils, split peas, and many types of dried beans are also featured in vegetarian diets because they're high protein content. The hot button topic. There is some debate about soybeans today and if they should be featured so heavily in the diet of an average American and Canadian. Not only are they a featured ingredient in vegetarian and vegan diets, but soybean oil is found in packaged products in the store, from salad dressings to peanut butter. Soy meal is also processed as animal feed to increase the protein content, even though it is not something the animal would normally eat. The vast majority of soybean crops around the world are GMO. This creates conflicts by itself because of the many controversies surrounding farming with genetically modified organisms. Another controversy that has appeared regarding soy in foods is the estrogen-like compounds that soybeans process. Some people are concerned that eating things that have the potential to artificially increase estrogen in the body could create health issues. Others do not believe that soy products have any effect on the body's hormone balance. Many meals feature legumes as key ingredients. Some are vegetarian, like miso soup or lentil dal, while others feature both legumes and meat, like chili con carne and peanut chicken. Legumes are a versatile kitchen ingredient that can take on the flavor of whatever spices and herbs you choose to use. Some cultures have iconic dishes made with legumes, like Middle East falafel or hummus, both made with garbanzo beans. Although if you ate them together, you would have no idea that the same main ingredient because they are seasoned so differently. Beans and rice is one of the most common meals eaten around the world. Many people around the world get their nutrition from this meal. It is popular because it is cheap, easy to prepare, and has significant calories compared to other meals with fresh vegetables. Beans and rice are a staple for a mass majority of the world's population, and without it, many might suffer severe malnutrition. As you can see, legume farms are very important. The hands-on activity is find a recipe that features a legume and make it for your family. Even a peanut butter sandwich could count. And this concludes our lesson 16 for today.